These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep.
That's the White House press secretary responding to newly released emails from the estate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which make mention of U.S. President Donald Trump. Caroline Leavitt accuses House Democrats of leaking those messages to, quote, create a fake narrative to smear Trump. One email said that Trump spent hours at Epstein's home with a victim of sex trafficking. In another one, Epstein said Trump, quote, knew about the girls. The emails are raising new questions about how much Trump knew about Epstein's conduct. Trump has always denied any wrongdoing. Let's dig into this with political analyst Chuck Todd. He is the host of the Chuck Toddcast and was the former moderator of NBC's Meet the Press. He joins us from Washington. Chuck, good to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, good to see you, Andrew.
So how vulnerable is President Trump now that these emails are out there?
So, you know, it's interesting. It is, and I'm going to take a big macro view here, which is, you know, these issues become more problematic or less problematic for a president, depending on how the public feels about the presidency in that moment, right? Or their own personal position. So think back to Bill Clinton and his personal scandals and the whole Monica Lewinsky and all that business. The economy was booming. And arguably because the economy was booming, the public felt, hey, his private life is private life. And you really had more than half the country who thought, you know what, this is, you know, it's not great. I don't like it, but it's not a fireable offense. Why? Because they liked the job he was doing. Fast forward to Donald Trump and now. Previously, and some of this stuff we've known for a while, right? And there are other instances, the Access Hollywood tape being the most infamous, where his boorish behavior and then some has been exposed, or the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit where he was accused of sexual assault. And you throw all this together and you think, how come those things didn't stick at the time? And it's like, well, people thought they liked what he was saying and he was speaking about a bigger issue, and frankly, it didn't hit him that much in the first term because the economy was doing well. I think that Teflon Don is now going to become Velcro Don. And that happens when the economy isn't good. So this Epstein thing hitting now, while you also have a President Trump denying the reality about the current state of the economy, where clearly running on issues of affordability, focusing on the inflation issue, that the public still doesn't like this economy. They didn't like it in 24 and they blamed Biden and Harris. Now they don't like it now at the end of 25 and they're now blaming Donald Trump. And because they're unhappy about the economy, all of these other stuff matters then after that, right? If you're happy with how the country's being run, these personal things don't impact you as much. But if you don't like the current situation, you're like, this guy's, you know, he's this and it costs me too much money to pay for my electric bill this month. It is one of those where the timing of the allegation in some ways matters just as much as the allegation and stuff, and arguably even more so. And he's at a moment right now where he's in the barrel, Andrew. Nobody's happy with his presidency, and certainly because of the direction of our economy.
So you've gone micro. Can we go a little more micro now? Because we heard Caroline Leavitt say in today's briefing that Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because Epstein, in her words, was a pedophile and he was a creep. So how much does that insulate the president, given what we learned or given what we heard and read about in these emails today?
So I think he's always botched this. You know, he had that story, and it was a story that I think gave him a lot of defense for a while, which is, yeah, I kicked him out. Now, it turns out he kicked him out because he didn't like it that he was hiring away Mar-a-Lago masseuses, right? But it doesn't matter, right? He had the public falling out. He kind of, over time, conflated it and said he didn't, you know, he at some point he had to kick him out of his club because he thought he was being a sleazebag. Okay. Then why did you offer leniency to Ghislaine Maxwell? If you believe he was a sleazebag, then you should have actually been there to throw the book at Ghislaine Maxwell, his co-conspirator. But you didn't do that. You've gone the other way. You seem to be, and so I actually think he's undermined his own defense, because I've always thought that Mar-a-Lago defense wasn't bad for him on this. That he sort of said, and because he didn't have any connection to Epstein after that, right? They weren't seen together. He wasn't traveling with him. Like it seemed like he had a clean story. And then when it's sort of like, don't listen to what he says, watch what he does. And all they've done is essentially hug Ghislaine Maxwell. Mm-hmm. They clearly seem to want to make sure she tells a story that's exculpatory for him. And I think that is what I think, to me, makes the statement, the Mar-a-Lago defense, less credible.
So do you think Donald Trump could be in trouble over this?
So again, I go back to it's political trouble, not anything more than that. Mm-hmm. But yes, I do, I would argue it's because of the economy. And, look, there's a lot of political scientists, Andrew, that will argue that Richard Nixon only got pushed out on Watergate because the economy stunk at the time. That if the economy had been good, he'd have survived it. And what's the evidence for it? Bill Clinton. The economy was great when he had his scandal. These scandals hit harder when the public is unhappy about how the president is conducting themselves in the job, right? And as far as most Americans, Donald Trump made one promise: to lower prices and to make life more affordable. And it has gone in the exact opposite direction. Now, I can tell you that presidents don't have as much impact as people think, but that he made the promise. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to hurt him more than it did. The Epstein stuff has not hurt him in the past as much. I think it hurts more this time because people aren't happy with his economy.
Chuck, always good to talk to you and see you. Thank you. Chuck Todd joining us from Washington.
Brother. Thanks, Andrew. All right.